Today's session is brought to you by Caden Photography, a photography studio founded in 2013 that specializes in food and interior photography. Caden Photography will help you to create emotional visuals that sell and speak to your customers, and they also provide professional consultation to suit your visual needs. To find out more about Caden Photography, log on to cadenphotography.asia or call them at 012-640-7012. To meet all your photography needs, look at Caden Photography.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Retail Happenings with me, Tim. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Ms. Tina Leong from Stratos Consulting, and she is an extreme friend of mine that I've known for a long time. I'll turn it over to her to let her explain what she actually do and it's so unique. So Tina, thanks for coming on board today.
Yep. Hi, Tim, and thanks for having me aboard. Yes, I'm Tina Leong from Stratos Consulting Group. We are a market insights analytics and strategy firm. We conduct lots of market studies and surveys for various sectors, and these include retail, malls, property, consumer goods, etc. So thanks for having me aboard. We were started we've been around for 10 years, and I'm very glad to share my views today on the retail sector.
Great. Let us dive into it. So I think what insights could you share on the current situation?
Okay, I prepared some slides, team. Is it okay if I?
By all means, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
There it goes. Yeah. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So this is. Let's just take a look at the the economic impact, and let's talk about post-MCO, because I know that MCO now has been extended to May 12th, but we want to look forward, because I think said, well, let's look at the background,
Sure.
Okay, sorry. This was something that we published earlier on, during MCO 1 and 2, which was between 18 March and 14 April, roughly about nearly a month, that's 28 days. So during that first two phases of MCO, for the retail sector, malls throughout Malaysia were estimating that they would make losses of between 1.1 billion to 1.5 billion. And retailers in mall, we were estimating that they would make losses of 5.2 billion to 6.2 billion over just a 1 month period of partial lockdown, basically because malls are not open except for essential services, and non-essential retail can't open shop. So that's basically what we've estimated. But moving forward, let's talk about post-MCO, right? So post-MCO, which non-grocery sectors do we think will recover the fastest? Right. So I've been talking to some consumers, some people, and just looking at behavior. During the MCO, a lot of us now realize how important technology is. So some of us are feeling the need for, like, for example, there are some people with laptops but no webcam. So during office meetings, they will lack that facility and they may want to upgrade, and when MCO opens, they may want to go to a physical store to have a feel of the things before they buy such items. And we also have a lot of education that's now been moved online. And in the typical house, if you don't have enough laptops, it's going to be quite difficult for a working parent to share the laptop with the child, etc. So all this, realization of the intense need for technology during this moment will probably result in a greater sort of like, I won't really say that this is like, these are all conjectures, put it this way, but it could possibly lead to people wanting to buy more IT and electronic stuff. I have to qualify though, of course, the whole thing depends on the country's purchasing power. As you know, that is one of the major concerns right now, of everybody. Yeah. So subject to all these things happening. So we do see maybe the IT electronic sector will recover, faster. And there's also a difference between buying habits, in buying habits between the younger people and the older people. The younger people would be more savvy, in purchasing things online, but older people sometimes would still want to go to a store. And these electrical store, some of them tend to be like mini anchors, so they can be quite big, they can be quite spacious, so you can still go to a store and maybe feel safe, because it's spacious enough in these mini anchor, electrical stores, like for example, like a Harvey Norman, etc. So we think that this could be one of the sectors that could relatively recover the fastest. Recovery doesn't really mean better sales than last year, that kind of thing, but just better than what we're going through now. Okay. Then the second sector would be dining, F&B. Well, right now we've gotten to more familiar with takeaways and greater familiarity also with food delivery, right? But having been partially locked down for a period of 6 weeks, human beings are ultimately social animals. So I don't know for what you feel, but I really want and feel like I want to go out with friends, sit down and chill. And post MCO, I think I would do that. I would be cautious. I would choose those restaurants or those food outlets whereby perhaps when they practice some form of social distancing, or a better sort of like a sanitization practices, etc. I would probably choose those, but I do want to go out again with people, sit down and have a chat. So people are social animals, and imagine those people that are living in high rises, and imagine those that are living alone, the singles, and also those families with kids that really want to go out and do something. Social animals, I think that there will be people returning to dine-in F&B after MCO. Of course, there'll be those that are still cautious and will take away food, but this sector could probably come back faster relative to others. Okay. So that's the other sector. And the third would be hair salons, which the government did say, could open. Of course, a lot of people are still, quite fearful. But I think for guys, if you don't really know how to cut your hair, and if you don't look so nice, sort of like a bald, some people are really going bald and putting a cap.
True.
Yeah, you would perhaps go to the hair salon. So these are again just conjectures. For girls, we can afford to sort of like let our hair grow longer, but not so much for guys. And then another conjecture would be like the anti-aging health segment, which is already doing well and which some people consider, of course, an essential services. But then let's talk about the baby boomers. So we've heard so much news in Italy whereby because of overcapacity in the hospitals, they do not treat the older people, so they give priority to the younger people. And some of the older people are probably feeling a bit sidelined, even though it's not happening in Malaysia. And psychologically, I think there is an increased sense of vulnerability amongst them. So, I've talked to, a person who was saying that he's feeling that, now, health is even more important than before. That sense just sinks in. So perhaps the buying of anti-aging and health supplements will continue and even go up even more, because particularly the baby boomer segment will be very concerned. And if you look at the COVID-19, this segment is the one that is most affected in terms of the mortality.
The highest risk, you would say.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So that could be one. And then toys, maybe toys, because I've had my staff saying that it's so difficult to actually keep the kids occupied, and they have to work at home, and they also have to entertain their kids at the same time, and some have to cook at the same time. So it's a struggle, and especially when you have toddlers, and perhaps you can share with me also. They're so active, yeah. They're so active. You keep them occupied, and some of them have been trying to buy toys every week. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The purchase of toys actually increased online, perhaps, when the stores open, yeah, and these kids have a sort of like, so much energy, maybe they'll want to go and visit a store, yeah, and some toys can be very affordable, yeah, it's not always expensive toys, yeah, so this is again just a conjecture, yeah.
So do you think like the toys they would go for would not be so much of that parents go for? Would it be more of the affordable type rather than the big branded like your Legos and stuff, where there's a certain price point attached to it? Do you think that kind of thing is gonna?
Well, I think given the economic situation, by and large, people would go for the more affordable sort of goods, lah. Yeah, because a lot of people would be pretty concerned about their purchasing power, etc. Yeah. But well, perhaps they would buy, like, I think over this MCO, some of my staff tell me they're buying more than before, yeah, on a weekly basis, but not very big things, yeah. They just keep their kids occupied. Yeah, and then cosmetics, because ladies still need to buy the creams, etc., and sometimes the lipsticks run out, yeah, things like that. And I was told also that it's better sometimes to go to certain shops because there are sales advisors there, and you can test out certain colors. So not all things can be sort of like bought online, in a way whereby you feel that, oh, this is the right product for me. It might not be the right product, and you may need some sort of advice. You may need to do some sort of a testing. So this also may be a possibility. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are some of the sectors which we think may actually perform better relative to the others. But again, all this is a question mark. Yeah.
What are your thoughts about other services, like for example your alterations, I'm trying to think of other services like key making and all those ancillary stuff that you find not frontline retail. What do you think about those? Would you think it'd be like once MCO is lifted, it'd be like business as usual, consumption will still continue, or do you think people will be, or do you think the business will pick up, for example?
I mean, definitely it won't be like consumption as usual, because I think people will be very concerned about, still the kind of like the possibility of infections when they go out. So it will take time. It will take time. So economy-wise, the government has predicted, Bank Negara has predicted or forecast that at worst it could go down to -2%, but other economists have actually forecasted -3%. I've seen -4%. Yeah, and there are even some economists that are asking the question: is it going to be a V-shaped recovery, like you really see dropping, or is it W? Because if the outbreak is, if there is, let's say a second sort of like a spike later on in the year, like what we see now in Harbin in China, right? Suddenly, the infection rates are coming back. Yeah, so then it could be W-shaped. Yeah, so a lot of uncertainty at the moment, but most economists though are forecasting that next year in terms of GDP, we'd see positive growth, simply because as a base this year is negative and it's not good. So whenever the economy goes through a negative growth, and it comes from a low base, then the next year you'd see a positive growth. So some are predicting 4% up to even, I've seen very, very optimistic figures of even 9%. Yeah,
wow, so that's really optimistic. But
yeah, it's a range, but that's like really optimistic.
Correct. But in your opinion, do you really think the recovery will be V-shaped? I mean, personally, I'm very skeptical on that so-called. It sounds like the people touting that V-shaped recovery sounds like more trying to soften the blow. I don't really think that, at least for the retail sector, it's going to be a V-shaped recovery. My viewpoint is, like you mentioned earlier, there's that reduced spending capability by everyone. There's a lot of uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also rather skeptical. Yeah, um, because this thing is so infectious and there's so much that we don't really know about it, and there are a few strains. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, the larger question that I've been having in my mind, frankly, Tim, is, you see, the last major pandemic was, if I'm not mistaken, it was during the Spanish flu time, and then there was also
Yes.
something called the Great Manchurian Plague, and this happened like between 1910 and 1920. Yeah, so that was really major, and the period between then and the next outbreak, the next what we call a pandemic, was the SARS, right? Yeah, and the SARS was around 2002, 2003. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like nearly once in a century, that duration. Yeah, nearly once in about 80, 90 to 100 years. But now between SARS and COVID-19, it's only about 18
20.
years.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. So
Very
my
true.
question is, with climate change and all this going on, yeah, will viruses, I mean, I'm not a medical doctor or a scientist, but are they becoming more virulent? Because I kind of, get the feeling that this is the case. So if that's the case, will it come back again? Not in once a century like last time, but will it come back again in another 20 years? Yeah,
That's very true.
and if a person is in a person's lifetime of, let's say, average lifespan is about 74 years, how many times will a person see it? Because I'm not that young, but this is my first time. Yeah, and I've lived through the 97 recession, and it was nothing like this.
True. Very true. Very true. I totally get where you're coming from that.
Yeah, so how many times will we go through this? And if we go through this, then we've got to think about business models, retail models, and as business owners, what we think about, and as
Which
so
is
a
a
lot of
very
things.
good point that you bring up about business models, because I really wanted to ask you, like, what's happening in China right now is, I think in Beijing right now, they're for restaurants specifically, right, they are, most of them are still takeaway only, but they have started to allow people to come into the store, the restaurant, but you can only maximum group in groups of threes. And there's additional safety concerns, like, for example, I think now that, like, the on the table they are serving chopsticks, so they don't want everybody to be using the same chopsticks. The bowls and plates are wrapped in plastic. So I think moving forward, retailers need to put in more of these health procedures to remain open. And do you think they're going to be a mainstay? That means this, from this point onward, right, we are going to be designing for these things in mind. And do you think that then that will translate to a higher cost for retail?
I think it will be a mainstay as long as, because we don't have the vaccines yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even if vaccine comes about in another 18 months or so, that would be 1.5 years away. So it will be a mainstay during this kind of duration. And yes, the cost will definitely increase. And yes, designs, renovations, architecture will have to take into account, this new normal. Definitely. Imagine if currently you're only occupying a very small, like 22 by 75, square feet shop lot. Like compared to before, how many people, how many patrons can you cater to? Of course, I think the more innovative ones are already, going on to takeaways and pickups and online deliveries, and probably that's what the retailers have to think about. A kind of a business model whereby they're not so dependent on the walk-ins, yeah, and perhaps more on the other on the other modes, on the other channels, until the situation returns to normal, which could be 1.5 to 2 years away. Yeah.
I see. Which leads me to this last question before we move on to your next item. Do you think that this is the final nail that leaves that will allow e-commerce to rocket off and kind of leave brick and mortar behind? So is, in your opinion, is retail from a brick and mortar perspective totally dead, or do you think that there's still a place for it?
Definitely e-commerce, has picked up, and I think will continue to pick up, because even in China, it is those online malls that are not affected and have in fact seen an online surge during their lockdown. And even after their lockdown, this e-commerce sector is still continuing to do well. Yeah. But again, we go back to the basic psyche of human beings. They are still social creatures. So probably, like physical buildings, physical malls, and physical retail lots have to reinvent themselves. Yeah, reinvent themselves and ask a very hard question of, what can my space be used for now? Are there ways whereby I can still bring people here, to do certain things, and if not, what kind of use can I convert it to? Building use can I convert it to? Yeah.
True. So, good point. Very good point.
Yeah, and they might need to do certain renovations, etc. I mean, I'm just throwing ideas. Perhaps a part of certain buildings could be turned into something which caters to more essential services or sectors that are currently in demand now. Logistics, warehousing, things like that.
Yeah. Okay, that's a very good point. Very, very interesting point to consider. Yeah, let's move on. Don't let me hold you back.
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay, so just my last slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, Tim, you wanted to know which states would recover.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is a map that we prepared, whereby the darker brown ones are the ones with the most cases. So basically, we think that the states that will recover fastest would be those that are lighter, definitely the lighter ones in color. And if you look at this, it's the northern part of Malaysia. Yeah, okay. Of course, the central part is not very occupied. We have mountain ranges there, but the northern part would be places like Penang, would be places like Kedah. Yeah, so far as of 1 day ago, Kedah only had 95 cases, Perlis 18 cases, Penang 119 cases, and Penang Island is less affected than the mainland.
Why so? Why do you think that's so? I mean, there are more people on Penang Island, right?
Yeah, there are more people. I'm not sure whether it's to do with the island impact.
Okay.
Island, but not really Singapore. Singapore,
correct.
Has been really badly impacted.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Well, I'm not really sure. Well, I mean, maybe, I mean, in KL, I think a lot of people were infected because of huge gatherings and huge. I think
we had bigger clusters. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, there were a lot of major gatherings. Yeah, so in Penang, maybe at that time there were less gatherings. It could be as coincidental as that. Yeah, KL always is the epicenter because most of the conferences, most of the huge seminars, meetings, religious gatherings are held in the capital of the country. Yeah, so Penang being further away, perhaps experience less of these things. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
So do you think then that being the case, right? Do you think KL and the greater region of the Klang Valley would be one of the slowest states to recover in terms of economically?
Could be, Tim. I think so. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think right now there are about 6 to 7 million kind of like foreign workers in the country, and I think they all haven't been fully tested. Yeah, and if you ask me where they are, well, there's quite a lot in KL as well. Yeah, so
Yes, true.
um,
Very true. Very true.
yeah, so yeah, we could be the slowest to recover. Sad to say, yeah, the sad reality, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the whole point of for me personally, the whole point of being being in touch with this is not because like to highlight that this is the new normal reality, but it doing having this and facing it brings us up to the point where we can then talk to the right authorities to say, hey, you know, these things are, because we have the most cases, right? It's very likely we're going to be the slowest to recover. So what from a private governmental standpoint can we do to smooth it along a little bit? You know, what can we do to because this is the kind of data I was trying to find out for, honestly, because the Menteri Besar Incorporated of Selangor contacted me, and they said that they were asking me like what do you think that the local the state government can do to assist business owners at this point in time, you know. So with access to this kind of data and this kind of reality, right, then you can say, hey, you know, looks like we are badly affected, and these are the things that I think we can jumpstart a conversation. So I think that has always been the to me, that has always been the thing about getting ahead of COVID. If you look at how South Korea did it, it was all that data, you know, that they released about the whereabouts, whether you were in contact with a person who can have been infected, and that really helped them to flatten the curve tremendously, you know. So I think this data to me points out the fact that if we are in a state where the recovery could be quite slow, or then I think it's imperative that it's an opportunity for us to work with the state government and say, okay, let's see what can we do to help the businesses recover faster, because if we can get everyone back to their normal state of life faster, also everybody will benefit. So that's just my viewpoint now. So I think personally for me, I think it does not help when I think if I may be so bold, I would say that if I compare our neighbor to the South, Singapore and us, right, they very their announcements are very they're very shocking, but in the sense that they give you a deadline. Like, for example, very early on, Singapore came out and say, you know, we're just going to extend it to June 1st. You know, we're not going to sugarcoat it and say, let's see how 2 weeks go. I think psychologically, from a human perspective, when people are uncertain, right, they tend to take maximum protection. So in this case, I think as business owners, we are also taking maximum protection, where because we don't know when we're going to start our offices back, we are not thinking as business owners, hey, yes, there's some government assistance, but do I now think of paid time off for my staff? Do I think now of pay cuts? You know, I'm forced to think of these things because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So I feel that if we take a more direct stance by saying, you know what, we are going to extend the MCO to the end of May, it's going to, at least we know by the end of May, the projections look really good.
Yeah, I think you have a good point there, Tim. Yeah, I think I agree with you. But I also think the government does not have a very easy time, because they're also thinking of that economic impact, that trade-off. The longer it is, the greater the negative impact. So it's really a juggling situation. Yeah.
Definitely. I think there's that, but if we were to be more certain, at least we can also calculate
better planning.
Yeah, better planning.
Yeah, I mean, we could plan ourselves better. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Because I think like right now, honestly, from the announcements yesterday, there seems to be, the government seems to be going for a soft landing approach. Totally agree. It doesn't allow retailers to plan. like now we're saying to us, okay, do I think that my service will be open? Or I think I'm not going to open. If I am, then how do I call back my staff? So stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
Yeah.
But I think we missed out the part on Sabah and Sarawak, right?
Oh yeah. Okay. Let us just share that screen first.
Yeah. That's just because I think there are some of our viewers probably.
Oh yes. Okay. So let's go to Sabah and Sarawak. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see over here, yeah. So it will be well, Sarawak, it still has higher cases than the northern states that I was talking about in Peninsular Malaysia just now, with 455 cases, and Sabah with 334 cases. Yeah. So especially in the capital cities lah. Yeah. So overall, it will still be I think the northern states recovering earlier. The if you're talking about urban areas lah. Yeah.
So you think
Malaysia.
You think Johor will not be a state that will recover faster?
I think Johor, well, let's look at, Johor. Well, Johor has got some, I think southern Johor, has got quite a lot of cases. Yeah. Will Johor recover faster? Well, currently, I think the workers from Singapore, they haven't come back yet, right? And they could, they could recover faster because Singapore has extended their
circuit breaker.
Circuit breaker, and they're like doing a lot of testing now. So they are limiting the movement in between these two places. So by limiting it, it could recover faster than KL. Yeah, it could. I mean, just in terms of the number of cases, it has less. Yeah, it's a smaller area. Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, but Johor seems to have been the shining light for retail prior to this MCO because of the buying, the movement from Singapore, a lot of purchasing happening. So I don't know with with the fact that opening the borders is a very tricky thing. I think it's something taken lightly, but I think
dangerous thing as well.
Yeah. I think if that then I do see a potential for the recovery to be faster in that sense.
And actually, looking at Malacca does not have that many cases compared to a lot of other states. So it only has 189. Oh yeah. The other states that are actually relatively less affected are the northeastern states lah. Kelantan with 155 and Terengganu with 109. So those will actually recover, I think, pretty fast as well, like Terengganu, and Kelantan as well. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense actually looking at this. So I mean we're about to come to the end of our time today. Just any last thoughts that you have on the current situation, or is there anything that you want our viewers to really know, or any advice that you can share, or your opinion would be good just before we jump?
Okay, I think Tim, because I went through the 97 recession, but I wasn't a business owner back then, and this is so different, because like I mentioned, we've never been like totally locked down before, I think this COVID-19 situation will force a lot of business owners to really try and think out of the box, and that's the silver lining. I think it's really forcing me to really try and think out of the box, and maybe we will do things that we've never done before. That's the silver lining, because I think even when I talk to other friends that are baby boomers, I mean basically none of us has ever gone through this. SARS was actually nothing much.
Correct.
Not so much impacted, but this is serious, and because it's serious psychologically, we won't forget it so easily. We'll remember it quite a lot. So perhaps the good thing coming out of this would be a lot of us will be forced to learn things much faster, and really think out of the box in ways that we have not done before. And I think Malaysians actually are a pretty resilient lot. When I was going through 97, it was quite bad, 97, 98, but just within a period of 1 year, no matter how bad, I saw people surviving. I saw people, basically, yeah, slowly they those who were retrenched started to find jobs. But that impact was not as big as this one. But still, people survived. So the good thing is that Malaysians are pretty resilient. We find ways, yeah, even though we may suffer. So I want to remain positive about this.
I think, yeah, that's important.
Yeah, and I think we need to remain positive. Otherwise, there may be too much fear.
Correct. Just before you
and it all starts in the mind.
Correct. I think what you said is very, very true. But just before you leave, do you think coming out of this MCO, and we need to be looking at that? I mean, I was contacted by Focus Malaysia yesterday, and they asked me, do I think the malls will be empty? Just very quickly, do you think that's going to be the case, that malls are going to be empty, people are going to be afraid to go out? I'm thinking otherwise. I'm thinking no, because we've all been cooped up at home for the last nearly 2 months already. So I don't think it's going to happen. But what do you think?
You see, I think even before this, some of the weaker malls were not experiencing very high traffic, and with this situation, actually it's ironical because I mean, just thinking out loud, right? People will feel safe to go to those malls that are not so crowded. I mean, frankly speaking, during the MCO, when I was buying groceries, I chose those places that were not so crowded. So I actually went to I went to some malls that were quite new.
Yeah.
That were near my place, in the Petaling Jaya area. But I knew they were open. Not a lot of people didn't know that they were open, and it was nice and spacious, and I didn't have to crowd around with a lot of people. So I purposely chose those places for social distancing reasons. So it's quite interesting. Yeah. And but I still think overall mall needs traffic. Maybe some of those malls that have more space and all that will see people like even before the MCO, we did hear that those malls that were quite packed, right? Some of these malls that were quite packed, they experienced a higher drop in traffic compared to malls that were smaller and that were less crowded. Yeah. So the less busier malls didn't see that huge a drop in terms of traffic.
True. That's.
And I'm talking about more of like this secondary malls. Yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, so I think that's good to know. It's something to look forward to, honestly. So yeah, I think that's all the time.
But Tim, just to share something with you, I think a lot of malls, what they're going through now is that because they still have to remain open, so they meaning they still have to, because if let's say they have outlets that are scattered all over the floors, like if they have some essential services and even some F&B takeaways on the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, and these things are scattered, they still have to keep some of the aircon running and all that. So cost is high. So what they may think about is in the future when they're thinking about, I do not know, reconfiguring spaces and all that, they might want to cluster. They might want to cluster things. So is there a way to cluster it so that the essential services are grouped together in terms of tenant mixing, in terms of design, in terms of space renovation configuration. So those are some of the things that they might need to look into. And perhaps with the clustering, if they have certain excess space, what can they reinvent that into? So that should be one thing that they think.
That's a very interesting point. Because I think the idea was previously the main thinking was we wanted to break up everything so that people flow through the mall. So your viewpoint now is very interesting, I think. It's something really to think about.
Yeah, so we all have to think out of the box.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think
we'll push. Yeah,
I think
I think malls, they think about things that way, they could reinvent themselves.
True. Thank you, Tina, for your time. I think most importantly, it was a good conversation. I thank you so much for the stuff that you prepared. I think that was just superb. The rundown to that was just really good. Can't thank you enough for your taking the time to be here today. So so thanks so much. Let's get out of this and in person soon.
Yeah, let's try. Yeah, thanks for having me, team. Yeah, and
Will
all the
do.
best.
Thanks,
Okay,
same to you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Today's session is brought to you by Caden Photography, a photography studio founded in 2013 that specializes in food and interior photography. Caden Photography will help you to create emotional visuals that sell and speak to your customers, and they also provide professional consultation to suit your visual needs. To find out more about Caden Photography, log on to cadenphotography.asia or call them at 012-640-7012. To meet all your photography needs, look at Caden Photography.